Hi everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video I thought I would explain to you how I am drawing this dog's tongue, mainly her tongue, maybe bits of her mouth, but this is going to be mainly a focus on how I'm going to tackle this tongue. So you can see that she's got this gorgeous expression on her face. So I am doing this commission on Fabriano Artistico hot press watercolour paper, and I am using Faber-Castell Polychromos, Caran d'Ache Luminance and Caran d'Ache Pablos to do all the details. The reference photo isn't the easiest to work from, in the sense that I can't really zoom into the reference photo like I want, but when I'm zoomed out I can see everything perfectly. So this is really a nice challenge for me to work on, like how much detail I actually need within a piece to create that realistic look. So yeah, I will get us zoomed in a little bit closer and I will take you through step by step how we are drawing the tongue of Dolly. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do is just come in with my putty eraser, and any of these graphite lines, just going to lift them. Now, one of the things I like to do is use my Payne's Grey, which I'm just looking for, in the shadows, because this works really nicely. So we're just going to come down the centre of this tongue. I'm just doing this very lightly. As I'm mapping this in, I don't want to press firm. I don't want to press too hard. Just want it all in nice and lightly. Now you'll see that I've not mapped in these kind of white hairs going over the tongue yet, because I will use my slice tool to do that. And then I'm just going to very lightly brush in along here like so. Do it on the same side, so you can just darken up that little midline, and then again just going to very lightly blend outwards. Right, just gonna lift that graphite a little bit more. And then what I want to use is my Granite Rose. So this is a Pablo pencil, but it's a really nice pink tone, which I really like using as a base layer for my tongues. Now, when you look at on the reference photo, this is really exposed, so there's like a bright white light. So I'm just going to leave that bare. I'm not going to put the Granite Rose there, and I'm going to come down the tongue. Now, one thing that I do with tongues is I tend to work on the whole tongue at once rather than bit by bit. And then as I'm building up different areas of the tongue, that's when I go more section by section. So I tend to work all over it first and then go back to my method of doing it section by section. Making sure I blend over the Payne's Grey as well, because it's all going to help me blend this together and make it look nice and smooth. You see just how light this is. I could also use these Illuminance pink white. That would have worked really nicely as well. It's like a really baby pink is the pink white, which is probably what I'm going to use in this highlighted bit as well. Just need to lift this bit of graphite a little bit more. Some of the graphite I'm not worried about, because it's going to be the surrounding areas are going to be dark, so I can cover it up, but just lifting it. Like so. Okay, so that gives you that really nice base layer. Now, a colour that a lot of people won't realise that I'm going to go in and use is my Warm Grey 2, just to give a bit of warmth into the tongue. Okay, so I'm going to start along this side of the tongue. Now with the tongue, I'm just going to do circular motions with my pencil so that I get a nice smooth base. I'm not looking to build up any details yet. All I want is to build up the different colours that I've got within the fur. Okay, I'm doing the same on this side. Okay, and then I'm going to kind of, where we've got this kind of, so this tongue is obviously over the front of the teeth. So I'm just going to curve it around the edge here, bring it down. Like so. Right, the next colour I am going to take, this is the coral. So I don't want to go in with the cinnamon because I feel like it's going to be too peachy. I want more of a pink undertone, which this coral has got. And again, you can see I'm just doing very light layers. Now, one of the things that a lot of people think is with a Fabriano, you have to press really, really hard to get the colours that you're after. But what you'll see I do is I just build up lots of light layers. Don't need to press firmly. I don't really burnish. I just build up lots and lots of layers. Now, you can go in and burnish. That'll obviously speed up the process, but that's when you're going to press really hard on the paper. The way that I work, and again, there's no right or wrong. You can work in however you feel works best. But the way that I work is to build up my layers just like I'm doing now. Lots and lots of colour because I like a lot of colour in my work. But also lots and lots of light layers so that we get the effect that I am after. So you can see I'm just looking at where there's some of these nice pink tones in the tongue to build this up. Okay, and then take the beige red for this sort of middle section of the tongue. So this has given me a really nice base to work on. So now it's all about bringing in all the different colours, and I can start as well to build up my values, get those darks really dark, my lights lighter, as well as building up my details as we start to really see the tongue come together. Now, a colour that I like to use in my work are the Polychromos Metallics. This is a bit worn down now, but this is the copper. This is going to create a nice sort of greyish purpley tone once I've built up all my layers on the top here. So again, I'm just going to build up the this kind of grey tone nice and lightly with the circular motions. Again, I'm not really focused too much here on detail. I just want to build up colour. And I'm going to bring it into this section as well. So you can see what I'm starting to do is just mainly build up the form of this dog. Dog's tongue, sorry, not the dog itself. Just the tongue. And to start building up the details. Now the details that I want to kind of naturally build up. So when I'm on this front part of the tongue, I'm doing those nice circular motions. As I'm coming here, I'm now looking at the details in the tongue and they're more linear. So I'm just going to do those nice linear pencil strokes. Okay. Right, I want to bring in a bit more of the purpley pink tone. So I'm going to start with the crimson. I really like this colour for those purple tones. And what I like to do is come in with the polychromos pencils because I find them they can be quite vibrant at times depending on the colour you're using. But if I want to knock it back, like with this, I want to obviously come in and blend everything. So I'll be able to come in with like the sepia 10%, which is going to add that purpley grey colour, or even the violet grey. And they are colours that are in the Caran d'Ache Luminance range. Trying to speak and draw at the same time it can be quite tricky. I still find it tricky because trying to concentrate on two things. So I hope the explanation is kind of helping. But again, you can see that I'm slowly building this up nice and lightly. You're starting to see the depth appear. Now, I've not pressed firmly. It's all very similar pressure. So you can see that this dark shadow isn't really dark enough yet, but it's all about slowly building everything up together. And then coming in with the Venetian red. Again, this is a colour that I use all the time for tongues. So I want to come in across the top here. Now this is where it's starting to go from those purpley tones into the reddish pink tones. So purple pink to reddy pink. So this is just going to be a nice kind of mid-tone. Again, I'm doing those circular motions. Now, as we come down to the bottom of the tongue, we want to create that edge of the tongue. So I'm just going to very lightly use the sharp side of the pencil to create this edge. Flick it around. And then just doing the same here. Okay, and you could do the same along the bottom of this part of the tongue, which is going to be a little bit darker, I feel, but I'm just going to come in. Like so. So you can see it's very, very grainy at the moment. Then taking the salmon from the Polychromos again, this is quite a brighter toned pink. I could take the pink Madder Lake and I may end up grabbing that later on for this tongue, but I feel like this is a nice kind of balance. And again, I'm just coming in and building this up at the bottom part of this tongue, especially on this right hand side. So what you can start to see now is, hopefully, that the grain is it's still grainy, but it's starting to get covered. And all I've done is just build up lots of layers. So yeah, whilst this does take obviously a bit of time, you can press a bit firmer to speed it along. But this for me just works perfectly and just how I want it all to come together. You could also, because I've used that copper, I could come in with more of this kind of golden. The gold from the Polychromos, again to help build up the values. And then what I'm going to do in a second is we're going to smooth all this out and blend it together, just taking the cinnamon. So I want to blend, kind of apply a little bit of extra pressure, but not too much, with the luminance to blend so that I've got a nice layer to then start building up all the colours again and my details on top of. So I think to do that, it is a Lumens, let me find it. There's like a, I think this is going to be too dark. Have I got it out already? Maybe. This is the, I'll start with this though. This is the Walmer 5%. Do I want this colour? No, that's going to be too peachy. Okay, I'm going to start with the Burnt Sienna 10%. And this is for those purpley tones, sort of in the centre here. So nice sharp. Again, I'm not pressing too firmly, but I'm just going to start to blend over some of the pinky bits and over where I want this purple. And this, you'll see, will just help fill the tooth because they're a nice thick pencil. So it's just going to help fill in the tooth of the paper. Blend that down. As well as, again, building up those tones that we are after. So whilst you look at dogs' tongues or whatever tongue you're drawing, you'll see that they're pink, but we're using a lot of different kind of shades to help build up the values in between those areas. And then, so I'm now just going to take, this is the burnt sienna and the luminance, and I want to start to darken here. So I'm going to kind of curve it out of that middle section of the tongue. So this is going to start to build up the depth really nicely, and then just lighten my pressure as I blend down. And again, I'm not pressing hard, it's just nice light pressure. Do the same on this side. And by curving it out of that line, we're kind of creating that roundedness that we've got going on with the tongue. But I'm still blending into the middle section so it all looks part of the same, obviously, area. I don't want it to look like it is separated by anything because it's not. That's going to come down here. Then the colour as well is the red violet, which I need to grab. So we're going to come in with the red violet. Again, I'm building up this shadow now. And what you'll start to see now, the camera picks up a bit more grain than what I can see. But on the paper, what I'm looking at now, I don't really see that grain anymore. You can kind of see it here in this red violet area. It's getting nice and smooth. And that's what we're after. Blending that down. So again, I'm just taking it nice and slowly. Sorry, I just realised my hand was getting the focus then. But nice and slowly to build up the tongue. And then I'm going to go back to that Payne's Grey that we started with. Okay, do this side. And then just lightly kind of flicking and blending out, like so. Right, I think now I'm going to bring in my Caput Mortuum. And I'm just going to start to flick out. Now this is going to transition nicely with that Caput Mortuum. With that red violet, sorry, into the Caput Mortuum. This is the Caput Mortuum violet. Because I want to keep that nice purpley violety tone. Just bringing this down. So you can see I'm starting to build up the form of the tongue now. So I'm just going to bring that down. And then I'm just going to lightly bring that outward. So not pressing hard, just nice light pressure. And I'm liking how the paper kind of helps build up the texture of the tongue as well. Just going to do the same on this side, just circular motions. Now I want this, obviously, this part of the tongue to be a bit darker because one, it's further back, so we want to create that depth, but it's also creating a shadow because this part of the tongue is further forward. Obviously, this is a forward shot of this dog, of Dolly, but we want her, the front part of the tongue to be lighter so it looks like it's coming out of her mouth. Okay, Now a colour that I use a lot in tongues as well is the Nugget, because it adds that brownish tone that we are wanting. So especially along this edge here, I'm just going to come in. I'm going to just blend that upwards. So this is why I like to take my time, because you can really study the reference photo and see all the different colours that are making up the tongue, because it's not just your pinks. There's so many colours, and that's what I really enjoy finding. Again, as I mentioned or have mentioned previously, back to my cinnamon. You don't have to use as many colours as me. You know, I know there's people out there that probably use more colours than me. There's people out there that use less colours than me. There's no right or wrong. You just have to create the artwork in a way that works for you. And then I'm going to take back to my warm grey 2. So what you can start to see, nice light layer again, is this part of the tongue that's really started to come together nicely. Put Morton Violet. So all I'm doing now is just repeating my layers until I get to a point where I am 100% happy. I might even take, hang on. This is the Cold Grey 5, so I want to add this into the shadowed areas as well. So don't be afraid to go in with, you know, your warm greys, your cold greys, to help you build up the colour of your tongue. Actually, I'm just going to take the, it should have a Pablo, here it is. This is the Pablo Light Grey. There we go. That's going to add that gorgeous blue highlight coming down the middle of this tongue. And I'm going to keep this as the highlight over the top of the tongue here to blend it in. And along the top of her tongue. There. Right, okay. I am liking this. Gonna go back to my Kaput. Whoops. Maybe not drop everything. My Kaput Mortem. I could also come in with like my brown, so the Van Dyke brown. Along this part of the tongue, but again I'm trying not to do too much because I'm not zooming into this reference photo. I am working kind of size to size, which isn't something I do very often, but it's actually a really good challenge. I'm going to take the crimson again, and it is actually showing me that I can still add a lot of detail even without zooming in a lot. And then my this is the coral. I always want to say this is salmon, but it's the coral. The salmon's a bit brighter. And again, just blending over the top here. So you can see that side of the tongue's really nice. I'm going to just go back in. Actually, one of my favourite luminance pencils is the Dark Indigo. Let me, again, oh, it's there. Find it. This is a really nice blue, but straight away you can see just how opaque the luminance are. So we can just come in, really darken that shadow up. Remembering that our values are so important, so anywhere that I can get really dark, it's just going to help push things backwards, push things forward. It's really going to make all the difference. Sorry, I know that's focusing on my fingers there. Trying to keep the camera focused on the tongue. Blend that out and down, and then again I'm just going to take my Payne's Grey from the Polychromos. Blend that outwards. So when I say I'm blending outwards, I'm just lightening my pressure. So doing the same here. lighten that outwards. And then the Granite Rose. And now we can start working on the front part of this tongue as well. Before I do that though, I want to just take my coal grey one. So what I want to do is, with the coal grey one, let me just make sure this graphite is lifted. Taking my coal grey one, because this is going to be for the highlighted part of the tongue. Blending that. And then I'm actually, oh, hang on. Just going to take my ivory. I like to go over with the ivory because it adds that little hint of warmth over the coal grey one, which I know seems counterproductive, but I don't want the warm grey one because that is not the tone that I'm after. So I do like to mix the coal grey and the ivory. And then I'm just going to take the beige red and we're just going to lightly blend from these areas that have got the pinky tones over this area. And that's just going to help blend that section together. I feel like what I want to do as well is, this is back to the coral. Again, just a bit of back and forth here until I'm happy. Take the warm grey too. Payne's, this is the black. Just to darken there, and then I am taking that Payne's grey and coming down. Back to the Caput Mortuum. Cinnamon. Right, that looks better. I'm just going to take my slice tool. What I'm going to do is, to help me make this bit look better, just bring in those white hairs that are over the top, remembering to keep cleaning the blade of the slice tool. Now I'm able to use this slice tool easily, like so, because I've got a lot of layers on the page. The more layers you add, the easier it is to use. And then I could go in with the white. I like to use the Caran d'Ache, whether it's the Museum Mackerel or the Luminance, to go in and just really brighten some of those white highlights. The Venetian red. I'm just going to bring this in. That's better. That looks a lot better there. Okay. Right, so we're going to do this tongue. So I'm going to start, keep that Venetian red. Bringing this. Now, as you come to the bottom of this tongue, you want to start to do those little curved lines, because it's going to help create that 3D and roundness to her tongue. Do the same on this side. Now the salmon, because I want that brighter pink tone. this is really going to bring in that vibrancy. Again, at this point you could use, you know, the Pink Madder Lake. I used to use the Pink Madder Lake quite a lot for tongues, but I don't know. Recently I've just found I can really make use of like the coral and the salmon a lot more than the Pink Madder Lake. It does depend on the tongue. Some tongues are so bright a pink that obviously the Pink Madder Lake makes more sense. This is a bit more of a subtle tongue, even though it's pink. I can get away with these more subtle tones. I think every artist has like a combination that they find useful. Sorry, for different areas. So for me, you know, for tongues, it's the cinnamon, the coral, the salmon, the beige red, with the red violets, the Payne's greys, the nuggets. Similar to eyes, I love to use the Payne's grey, the dark indigos, the ivories as base layers. So really, you know, everybody has their own method, I guess. I'm thinking as well, I think, have I got that out? Maybe we'll stick with the Venetian red. I'm just going to come in along here. And then a bit of the Cold Grey 5, because this is a bit of a purpley blue tone. And I am going to use the middle cadmium red. This is going to give quite a bright tone. Let me just sharpen this. This is going to bring this kind of brightness that I can see. Again, this is probably one of the red tones that I use quite a lot, is the middle cadmium red. Straight away, you can just see it just really helps to lift this. Blend that out. Whoops, going back to that salmon, make sure I'm seeing the right colours. This is the burnt sienna 10%. Blend. And then on the front part again, I'm just going to take that granite rose, or granite rose. Blend there, taking the Cold Grey 1 again, just down the side here, and I might even just take this Warm Grey 2 just to create a bit of structure here. I'm flicking it upwards. Okay, dark indigo. So this is now just me kind of titivating, fiddling about until I'm just 100%. But I really like that. Let me zoom you out a little bit because we are zoomed in, and let me show you from a distance. So from a distance now, you can really see the kind of structure of the tongue. Just coming back in here and just adding a few more highlights on the tongue. And then what I'll do is I'll take the sepia from the luminance and just kind of draw in a few little lines and dots on this dark part of the tongue. And then on this section, I'm just going to take that slice tool just kind of dotting away to create this kind of almost like wet look to her tongue. And then over that, I'm actually just going to go in with the white. This is the Luminance white. And there she has her tongue. Now, this is going to look quite weird till I get the rest of her mouth in. But I can show you that later on. I will show you the finished piece. I thought I would just pop on and show you how the mouth area looks now that it is done and we've got the gums sort of coming in. I do want to just add a little bit more depth at the bottom of this gun. Even though it's very bright on the reference photo, I just feel that it's needed. But yeah, this is how the tongue looks with all the rest of the mouth kind of placed in around it. But yeah, I really hope this has been helpful. I know it's not a tutorial as such, but it just kind of shows how I tackle doing different areas of different animals. So this time I decided to do a dog's tongue. And I do hope you found it helpful. If there's anything in the future you want to watch me draw, do let me know. I am going to be doing some more birds' feathers next in the next video. But yeah, in the comments below, if there's anything you'd like to see, do let me know. Thank you for watching if you've watched this far. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye guys.